Refried beans can be plain or just plain mushy, but not these. We'll use seasoned canned beans and a couple of aromatics to make a bowl of beans you'll devour. Along with them, we'll show you a spicy chorizo and steak taco a la Diabla. Alright, we'll get started by dicing a white onion. We're going to use this in a couple of our dishes here today, so one whole onion and a couple cloves of garlic. Go ahead and put about half that onion along with the garlic into a skillet over medium heat with a tablespoon of olive oil and sweat those out for 3 to 4 minutes, seasoning of course with salt and pepper. Once we get them softened, the onions beginning to turn a little translucent, we're going to add 2 cans of Lucks seasoned with pork pinto beans. These are pre-seasoned and have a little bit of a sauce already in them. If you're using plain canned beans, you'll want to drain them and add chicken stock or water as needed for consistency. Stir this for 6 to 7 minutes over medium heat, adding a teaspoon of cumin. We're just warming those beans through and allowing that garlic and onion to cook out completely. Once everything is all warmed through, go ahead and use the back of your spatula to mash these beans and smash them. Coincidentally, a potato masher works wonderful for this. And of course, you're just going for whatever consistency you desire here. If it gets too thick on you, you can, as I said, add a splash of water or some chicken stock. Ultimately, these are going to tighten up a little bit as they cool, so if they look a little bit too thin in the pan, that's probably just about perfect. That's where these were for me. I tasted for final seasoning and then set them aside in a bowl to rest, but not before garnishing with a little bit of fresh jalapeno and a few leaves of cilantro. With our beans out of the way, we can turn to our tacos. I'll be using sirloin steak for this, but you could certainly use tenderloin or ribeye or strip steak. We're going to go ahead and cut this into small bite-sized pieces as one would find in a taco. It is going to get cooked all the way through, but there's going to be plenty of flavor and fat in the taco, so despite the fact this is a relatively lean cut of beef, it is still going to taste phenomenal. Once you've got your beef all chopped up, I have 2 serrano peppers here, which I'm going to very thinly slice. Now, all the heat is in the seeds and in that white membrane there in the middle of the serrano, so if you really want to avoid the spice altogether, you could leave these out or just cut them in half and remove all the seeds and pith. Next up, I've got 8 ounces of pork chorizo going into a skillet over medium heat. I'm just going to brown that and crumble it up. It's going to take about 6 to 7 minutes depending on the heat in the skillet. Go ahead and set that aside, but you can leave all that wonderful chorizo fat in the skillet, add in your serrano peppers and additionally the other half of your onion. And we're going to stir that around in that chorizo fat, softening these just as we did with the garlic and onions for our beans, of course seasoning with salt and pepper. We want to get them, again, soft and translucent, and then set them aside. Go ahead and wipe that pan out, get it nice and clean, and then crank the heat up to high, and add in a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil or canola oil, and add in your steak. You could do this in batches if you were really determined to get some really dark color on there, but again, the steak's going to cook all the way through for these, so I wasn't too worried about slightly overcrowding this pan. I'm seasoning with salt, pepper, and again, a little touch of cumin there. All the exact amounts will be in the description down below, as well as on our website. Once that steak is just cooked through, go ahead and add back in your onion, pepper, and chorizo mixture. At this point, everything is cooked, so you can kill the heat and stir everything to thoroughly combine. Of course, taste for that final seasoning, and you should be good to go. To plate these up, I'm just going to serve my beans family style on the cutting board. Throw down a couple of corn tortillas because corn tortillas are perfect for street style tacos, which these are. Spoon in a generous bit of that steak and chorizo filling. And I'm going to garnish this very simply with the remaining little bit of white onion I had, as well as some fresh cilantro. And I'll toss some limes on the board for people to squeeze on fresh when they go to eat. There you have it. A couple of street tacos a la Diabla and some really tasty refried beans. And I know a lot of times when you get refried beans at a Mexican restaurant, they're kind of plain, they're kind of overly processed, they're covered in cheese. But these, man, they've got a great flavor. They really don't need the cheese. Honestly, I could have sat here and eaten this whole bowl, but I would have probably been miserable, as well as anyone within a 10-foot radius of me. So let's turn our attention to these tacos, which will require a very generous squeeze of fresh lime juice. Man, that's a beautiful looking bite. And I know what you're thinking, man, there's a lot of serrano in there, it's chorizo, it's going to be super spicy, but honestly, it's not that bad. I do like spicy food, but I found these to be on the mild side of things. I actually had to put a little hot sauce on there when you weren't looking. Anyways, I am out for this week. Thanks for watching. Get on out of here and go make something delicious.